Good morning, friends. Let's sing a morning song together. We'll be in the gray hymn book, hymn number 368. I invite you to rise in body and our spirit. And let's sing together. If you're joining us online, you can find the lyrics posted on the lyric sheet. If you just pop onto that link, and it'll open up for you.
Good morning and Happy New Year. Welcome to the Olympia Unitarian Universalist Congregation. My name is Christine Park and I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a member of the worship arts team here. Leading worship with me today is Rev Linda Hart and Troy Fisher, our music director. Linda is a retired Unitarian Universalist minister and member of OUUC. Ordained for 41 years, she has worked with homeless teens and served congregations in Woodstock, Vermont, Spokane, London, Marysville, Tacoma, and Port Townsend. She and her husband Peter were part of OUUC in the early 2000s and are happy to be back. Our faith community envisions an interconnected world that is loving, just, and healthy. We commit to live out our mission to welcome and wonder, embrace and empower, bridge and become. We are a people of many genders, many racial identities, many economic levels, many sexual identities, and with all the ways that we are different, we are united as one people. We are a faith community that believes diversity is sacred and that we are enriched by the gifts that each of us brings. We affirm that we are all growing and becoming and that we learn from each other. Thank you for your presence here, however you have arrived. We're so glad you're in this gathering. Here's a few things to know about our service so that you will feel welcome here. We are streaming live on Zoom and YouTube, and the service is being recorded. For those here in the sanctuary, you can see sometimes innovative subtitles on the screen in front and on Zoom for those online. We are a multi-generational community, and we welcome people of all ages in the sanctuary. There is also nursery care and a story time program for children in the classroom wing. Over here, we have soft chairs and activities for hands, so everyone can be here in a way that supports them. Please be where you are most comfortable. We are grateful for the very many people who helped make this worship happen this morning. Some are more visible than others. Thanks to all who contribute in so many ways. After the service, everyone will have the chance to discuss reflection questions offered by Rev Linda. For those online, we invite you to go to a breakout room for a virtual coffee chat. For those in person, please feel free to stay for coffee and fellowship in the Commons. We have a number of announcements. There is not an after-service forum today. Forums will resume next week with a presentation from the OUUC members who made a pilgrimage to Transylvania last fall to visit sites important to our Unitarian heritage and to visit our partner church in Kitsolamos. Join us next Sunday for a service and forum focused on our Unitarian past and future. Welcome team members were handing out postcards today about planned cottage meetings. These meetings are small group gatherings in members' homes and online to share stories, build connections, and to celebrate our community. For about 90 minutes, we'll enjoy refreshments and meaningful conversations about what OUUC means to each of us, as well as the future we envision for our beloved congregation. There are many sessions to choose from with different dates, times, and locations. Sign up now. We would love to see you there. Our community dinners resume this coming Thursday, January 8, at 5:30 p.m. We provide the food, you provide the fellowship, and the dessert. Everyone is welcome to come for dinner and the many activities after, so please come join us. OUUC Choir starts rehearsing again this Wednesday, January 7th at 7 p.m. right here in the sanctuary. Is this your year to join the choir? If so, show up on Wednesday or speak with our music director, Troy Fisher. This year, we are highlighting opportunities for engagement here at OUUC. This week's opportunity is the FUN team, and that's spelled F-U-U-N. This will be a new team, not in existence yet, that will create and support social and fun events for us all. Joy is resistance too. If you are interested in creating fun for OUUC, talk to Reverend Sarah. There are many things happening at OUUC. Check out the Tuesday electronic update or the website for the most important and up-to-date information. As we enter into this time of worship, we invite you to open your heart and your mind to the prospect of transformation in this gathering of community. It is good to be together. This morning, we join Unitarian Universalist congregations around the world in lighting a chalice, the symbol of our faith tradition, with the words of Paul Leroux. May the flame of this chalice be like the light of a candle, placed in the window of a home to invite the wanderer to come in out of the storm.
Good morning. I'm Linda Hart, and I use she and her pronouns. And I am an older white woman with grayish, close-cropped hair, and I'm wearing a lovely dress with beautiful patterns on it. Our opening words today are from Andy Backus, who I'll note is my cousin. We come together, drawn by one another and by the hope that we might discover the hidden meanings, that we might once again trust a mystery. We come from pains and pleasures, from problems and plans. We lift ourselves out and join together in this corner of time to make it sacred. We celebrate life in all its unexpected pleasures and dashed hopes. We celebrate love in all its power to heal and its promise of a false simplicity. Now we are together again, and in peace we join our hearts and minds in order that we might create among us. And when the advancing edge of time, always so near, cuts us apart, and walls and worries separate us again, let our creation sustain us, and may we remember that we will meet again. Come.
I invite you to rise in body and our spirit again, and let's sing. This is a new hymn, There's a Light. I'll play it through a little bit. It's easy to learn. I invite you to rise and let's sing it together. There's a light in this place, and it shines in every face. It's the fire of truth and grace for all. May the hope we find here, as we faithful gather near, be the word that conquers fear with joy. Here we belong, every voice, every song, many as one, clear and strong. Welcome, faith family, cherish our diversity. May our worship set us free to love. Do you have an idea how it goes? Let's do it one more time. Here we go, and we go. There's a light in this place, and it shines in every face. It's the fire of truth and grace for all. May the hope we find here, as the faithful gather near, be the word that conquers fear with joy. Here we belong, every voice, every song, many as one, clear and strong. Welcome, faith family, cherish our diversity. May our worship set us free to love. Wonderful. Thank you.
Our story for all comes today from a book that I found at a random book sale many, many years ago called The Maze by Lucy Rees. And now that I've lost my place on my tablet, don't you love modern life? Where the heck did it go? All right, there we are. I knew it was here someplace. Back in the 90s, I found this book at a book sale. And Nancy Rees is a Welsh woman from Wales over in the United Kingdom. And she is most known as a horsewoman, as someone who works with horses. And if you look her up online, you'll find that she has several books about training horses. I don't know. I looked once and I was like, oh, okay, well, that doesn't, I'm not going to really look at all of that. But this book was a real revelation to me. And in the book, she and her partner decide that for whatever reason, they want to go to the Arizona desert and find a labyrinth, an ancient Hopi labyrinth that is out there somewhere in the desert. Now, they've never been in a desert. Now, they're horse people, so they're going to ride horses into the desert. And they know that it's going to be challenging, right? You set off for an unknown period of time into the desert. But especially it was going to be a challenge because they don't know the territory at all. They've never been there before. They wind up getting horses from a local man who rents horses, who knew there were such things. And she describes them as misfits, right? They were not like your top of the line stallions, they were just kind of quirky like the two of them. And they weren't really prepared for what the desert would be like, having not ever really been in a desert. So it was a dangerous and challenging time, and the wrong decision could have meant death for all of them at some point. But she tells the story. She feels like she's actually already working her way through a labyrinth on the way to this Hopi labyrinth, wherever it might be, and realizes that she's needing to travel a psychic journey. Excuse me for just a second, my nose is running. Jeez Louise. These human bodies can be such a pain in the patootie. Right? Okay, there we go. That's better. I was just never going to be able to tell you more without taking care of that. Anyhow, they knew that the journey was going to be hard and it was going to be fraught. And she realized as she moved through this whole process, losing the horses at one point, finding places flooded that they could not get through, all sorts of problems, she realized that she was processing something that had happened to her back many years prior, where she had gotten unexpectedly pregnant, not wanting to be pregnant, not meaning to be pregnant, and eventually into hospital, and the baby was born, but did not survive more than a few days. And she's trying to figure out how she moves on from this. A child she did not want, but then comes to birth and then dies. And how do you recover from something like that? And her friends would, try to feed her, and she was like, yeah, a slice of carrot would be good, maybe a pea. She was having trouble figuring out how she was going to survive this loss. I suspect many of us have had those kinds of moments too. But eventually, she goes home, and she says this about that time, and these are words that have supported and sustained me since I read this book some decades ago. She says of that time, what brought her back to wholeness: I went home at last. The support of my friends surrounded me with love and with kindness. I believe it is this, rather than the mere passage of time, that accumulates to heal us. Where faith and hope fail, charity, that greatest of all human attributes, still sustains. So may it be.
Each Sunday, we engage in the spiritual practices of generosity and gratitude by joining together in service to our community and to something greater than ourselves. This is an opportunity to express our gratitude for the gifts that life has given us, for the network of relationships in which we live, and for the presence of this community. We each have the power to share, and when we combine our gifts to create an offering, together we are able to do so much more than any of us could do alone. If you are new or visiting for the first or second time, you are our guest, and we do not expect you to contribute. But if you are moved to be part of our offering, what you share is accepted with gratitude. The offering collected here does two things. Half helps support the ongoing work of this congregation, which is also supported by our regular pledges. The other half of our offering goes to charity. Most is shared with an organization that serves our community in harmony with our Unitarian Universalist values, and a small portion goes to the OUUC Ministers Benevolence Fund to support the more urgent needs in our community. For January and February, our Share the Plate organization is Homes First. This is what they share about their work.
Hello and good morning, Olympia UU congregation. Crispine here, Development Manager with Homes First. Since 1990, Homes First has provided over 5,000 community members who are very low and extremely low income with safe, healthy, stable, and affordable rental homes. But we're more than just a housing provider. We are a bridge to hope and stability for families and individuals in our community who are struggling. Our mission is simple yet vital: to create and maintain safe, healthy, and affordable rental homes for those who need them most. We envision vibrant communities where everyone has a home they can afford. What makes Homes First unique? No other organization in Thurston County does what we do. We provide dignified, long-term rental homes and treat our residents with respect and equity. Our strength lies in our partnerships. We work alongside local social service organizations to ensure our tenants are supported the way they need. Today, your attention and support will make all the difference. Here's how you can get involved. You can help us expand access to affordable housing in the South Sound by making a donation today, signing up to volunteer, or becoming an ambassador to help spread awareness about Homes First with your networks, both online and in the community. Together, we can ensure that everyone in our community has a safe place to call home. Thank you.
Our thanks to all who give, including those who give electronically. You can find out about that in the order of service or on the website. May the offering now be generously given as it is gratefully received. generosity in all the ways that you share your gifts. This morning, we do what humans have done for all of our existence. We gather in times of worry and anxiety and in times of celebration and joy. We come into our community bringing all that is on our minds and in our hearts. Let's open ourselves to the complexity of life as we place stones in the water of community. You will hear a drum beat. Allow its resonance into your body. It is the heartbeat of life, the heartbeat of community. Right now, I invite you to take a deep breath. Feel the air in your body. Feel the earth beneath us. Feel the warmth of connection. And let's take another deep breath together as we move into this new year. For some, it is a new beginning. For others, it is the continuation of hard things. For many of us, it is a mixture of grief and gratitude. As we turn around the sun once more, let's pause to breathe, to notice the beauty we live in, and to appreciate the community around us. This morning, we place one stone for Venezuela and the world in this difficult time. Let's open our circle wide. For those on Zoom, I invite you to share from your heart by entering in the chat. Those in the sanctuary can see your sharing on the screen, and it is shared with Reverend Mary and the pastoral care team. For those in person today, I invite you to come forward if there is something that you would like to bring into this community. You may place a stone into the water as you hold your sharing in your heart. Let us hear the heartbeat of our community and reach out our hearts in love and care to all those who share. Please come forward. We place a stone in the water for all that has been shared online, shared from the heart. And we place one more stone in the water for all that we hold in our hearts and that remains unspoken. We hold together all that has been shared. May you feel yourself witnessed. May you know that you are loved.
I invite you to come into a time of stillness together, time for prayer, reflection, just quiet, as is most your custom. Begin with a quote from Carter Hayward, and then share some words, and then have a time of quiet together. Let us take a deep breath in and out and center ourselves. We are not automatic lovers of self, others, world, or God. Love does not just happen. We are not love machines, puppets on the strings of a deity called love. Love is a choice, not simply or necessarily a rational choice, but rather a willingness to be present to others without pretense or guile. In these moments of stillness together, let us open. Let us come into this time without pretense, without guile, fully here to all of what is present in us and around us. The work of love in the world is not sweet and pretty. It is not what is given to us, but what we choose. To love the world, the grime and loss of it, no less than its wonder and loveliness. Apprehending it for all that it is a choice to be fully present, no pretense, no guile. To love each other, never forgetting the priceless beauty in every face, in every heart, no exceptions. Never forgetting the brokenness, sometimes abiding at the core, the source of our deepest wounds, often the source of our greatest power. Learning again and again that we are joined to one another, more alike than we are different, and choosing to be present to another, choosing to be fully present to another. No pretense, no guile. This is the work of a lifetime. Let us take it up again this day with joy and intention. Let us pause in stillness.
I invite you to remain seated and let's sing together hymn number 1040, Hush. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Oh, hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Oh, my Lord, oh, my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Sounds like freedom, and somebody's calling my name. Sounds like freedom, somebody's calling my name. Oh, it sounds like freedom, somebody's calling my name. Oh, my Lord, oh, my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Sounds like justice, somebody's calling my name. Sounds like justice, somebody's calling my name. Oh, it sounds like justice, somebody's calling my name. Oh, my Lord, oh, my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? I'm so glad trouble don't last always. I'm so glad trouble don't last always. Oh, I'm so glad trouble don't last always. Oh, my Lord, oh, my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do?
The first reading today is from Simple Tools by Rosemary Watola Trommer. Trommer is a poet, author, and storyteller who lives in Placerville, Colorado. She says that her one-word mantra is adjust. Her three-word mantra is I'm still learning. And she writes, I am so grateful for the rubber spatula, the way it sits quietly in the drawer, yet is always ready for action. Is game to scrape the walls of the blender or to fold chocolate chips into cookie dough. It evens and swirls the frosting on cake and welcomes the tongue of a child. In a sharp world, it knows the value of being blunt. It knows that to smooth is a gift to the world. Some people are knives, and I thank them. Me, I want to belong to the order of spatulas, those who blend, who mix, who commingle dissimilars to create a cohesive whole. I want to spread sweetness, to be a workhorse for beauty, to stir things up, to clean things out. I want to be useful, an instrument of unity, a means, a lever for life.
Many years ago, I started a sermon This is back when I was in Spokane, and I was preaching about why we come to church, something like that, one of those churchy sermons. And I started by saying, why are we here? And I was surprised that off to the left in the back, there was a burst of laughter. One gets confused about things like that when one hasn't said something funny. So, I kind of put it to a side, and then several days later was walking through the grocery store and found myself whistling one of the hymn tunes that we had sung. Ministers do that sometimes. And I was whistling this hymn tune, and suddenly somebody else was whistling with me. And I, again, was really quite startled by this. And she came over to me and she said that she had been there in church that Sunday morning. In fact, she and her friends had met at the church to use our parking lot to go on a hike. But having arrived there Sunday morning, they decided that they should come to church before they went on their hike. And so when I asked the question, what are we doing here? It was amusing to them, so they burst out laughing, and it confused all the rest of us, but it made sense to them. So anyhow, I sometimes wonder what it is that brings us here, brings us to church. And I think it's a good thing to remember what it is that draws us together on a Sunday morning or a Thursday evening or a Tuesday afternoon, whenever you wind up here. And it's, why is it that we open all of those emails that we get? You do open all the emails, yes, I see heads nodding, that's a good thing, that we get about what's happening here. The cartoonist John McPherson, and I'll tell you that I was grateful that I saw his book of church humor in Reverend Mary's office, so I know that she's okay with me sharing. He has a book called McPherson Goes to Church. And there's this cartoon, it's the first one in the book, and the caption is, "New members at Sandy Hill Church were often overwhelmed by the intense pressure to get involved." Now, in the picture there are two people completely wide-eyed, and standing next to them is a guy who's pointing at the wall, which is a wall that is completely filled from top to bottom with names of committees. You've experienced this, and they fill the whole wall. Now there are committees like you'd expect, trustees, music committee, but if you look further and more closely, you find the more interesting ones, like the Pigeon Control Committee, the Thermostat Setting Committee, the Committee for More Comfortable Pews, we would say more comfortable chairs, right? Anybody ready for that committee? Oh, awesome. Yeah. And then my favorite of all of them, Committee for the Promotion of Committees. The cheerful man is saying to these startled newcomers, most people serve on 9 or 10 committees, but since you're new, I'm sure people will understand if you only join 6 or 7 to start. Anybody had this experience? Anybody? It's sometimes easy to lose track of what it is that draws us together here and what we can offer for each other here in religious community. As a lifelong Unitarian Universalist, I can speak of what this religious community, Unitarian Universalism, has offered me throughout my life. And I can say, having been a member here during what I term my maternity sabbatical, the time that I was a full-time mom when my daughter was young, I know that this congregation in particular is not so different from others that I've been a part of. What I want to celebrate first is that this community is a place that offers to people the possibility of life-saving and life-giving connection. And I don't say that metaphorically. I mean it in a very literal sense. It is true in my own life. In the congregation I grew up, which was in the Maryland suburbs of Washington, D.C., we went to church every week. Dad served on the building committee, Mom taught Sunday school, and after their marriage disintegrated, we continued to be active. In that time, it was a vital link for me. I was one of the very few children in my elementary school who came from what was now a single-parent home. In addition to having that stigma of only having one parent at home, there was my family's involvement in the civil rights movement. This was the mid-'60s, after all. My mother marched and picketed for civil rights, and she took us along. We actually I have a strong memory of being at a place over in Virginia where we were picketing for open housing at an apartment complex, and the Klan arrived, and then the police arrived, and I wasn't sure who to be more frightened about. And they would, the folks on the other side were yelling at my mother, how much do they pay you to be here? And my mother yelled back, a lot, and more because I bring my kids. We were all over the place with this. Our names and our pictures showed up in newspapers occasionally, and our neighbors were appalled. They were even more appalled when a Negro family, as we said back then, moved into a house just behind us. My mother went to the family early and offered what she could to be of assistance in them moving in. And so while they moved in, my mother and another white woman from our congregation stood in the yard or sat inside smoking cigarettes and talking in full view of the street, because bomb threats had been made against these people. They felt certain that any possible violence that might take place would be stopped by having two white women sitting there. And then my mother's out-of-wedlock pregnancy compounded our isolation from this nice, trying to be middle-class neighborhood that we lived in. Though the neighbors couldn't know what would have been for them, I suspect, the greater horror, that the child she carried was of mixed race. Her pregnancy as a single mother in 1968 caused my brother and me to be shunned by all of our playmates. At 11, I couldn't comprehend what was going on, only that I was alone, except at church. There was a place where the children were my friends. Our activism wasn't a matter of shame, but noted with gratitude and honor. My mother's pregnancy, though it wasn't celebrated, I suspect, I didn't know much about what was going on for her at the time, it didn't cause her to be excluded from life in the church. Indeed, she went on to serve on the board of the congregation, run the canvas, take part in about every part of church life. Eventually, she actually wound up doing continental Unitarian Universalist work writ large. It's probably true that I would have survived those years of being alone without that congregation to enfold me. But I think I'd be a sadder person today than I am, likely less whole, because there was a community to nurture a frightened and lonely child. And the truth of it is, they probably didn't even know that they were giving me that. They probably didn't see the life-giving power that the community had for me and my family through those years. It is the gift we give each other when we are in a congregation. It is what we share with one another, and it is a cause for celebration. As I grew into my teen years, our family continued to struggle and falter. My mother practiced what she called benign neglect, and that meant that we were pretty much on our own to do as we wanted. Sex too much and too soon, drugs, hitchhiking into DC, and staying out all night were probably the most significant dangerous activities that filled my teen years. Some of this was helped out by my friend, Eric, who lived around the block, a few years younger than I was. Eric ran away when he was, I think, around 13. And he learned how to live on the streets by selling his precious body for a place to sleep, a little money, and maybe some good drugs, for the illusion that someone cared about him. Eric took me along for some of that ride. He actually got me into my first bar when I was 16 and he was 14. While I never got caught up into that life that he was in, that runaway life, that prostitution, I hovered very dangerously close. My mother never fought this wild behavior. She knew enough about it to insist that I get some form of birth control. And I never became a homeless youth because that would have meant that she had paid enough attention and fought with me and cared enough to throw me out. There was always home to come back to, and church. Now, one weeknight, I was waiting in a small examining room at the local free clinic, only a few blocks away from where we lived. A boyfriend of mine had gotten gonorrhea, and I needed to go and get checked and treated for that. As I sat in the little enclosure that they had, in a very thin, not very ample robe, I waited for the doctor to come in, do the appropriate test, and then give me a shot. Imagine my surprise when the curtain was pulled back and Dr. Shea from my church walked in. I honestly don't know which one of us was more surprised. He asked the right questions, did the needed exam, instructed the nurse to give me appropriate shots, and then said, "And you get dressed and stay in here." He would be back, and I was in trouble. After the shots, I got dressed, he came back in and sat down, and he said, "Linda, don't you know how precious you are? You deserve better, and I'm asking you to be good to yourself and value yourself because you are of great value to us." Dr. Shea and the community that drew the two of us together did indeed save my life. There was a place in my life where I was accepted for who I was, no matter the dysfunction and the sadness and the loss. There was a place in my life where I had something to contribute, no matter the failures and the dangerous choices. There was a place where there were people who could love me when I could not love myself. There was a place with people who held me when I was lonely and frightened and lost and aching. And the truth of it is that they probably didn't even know that they were doing it. They probably couldn't see the life-giving power the community had for me during those years. But this is the gift we give each other. It is what we share with one another in a community like this, and it is always cause for celebration. Early in my training for ministry, I got to go back to preach in that congregation. It was a great opportunity for me to say thank you to the people who had saved my life and to say thank you to the church that created and sustained the place where such saving power was offered. What surprised me most, though, and I'm not quite sure why it did, was that after the service, as I was greeting people, one after another of my elders came up to me and said, "It saved me too. The details are different, but it saved me too." We probably don't see what we do here has that kind of power. We here in this congregation have that power to save lives, not in some metaphorical sense, but to truly save each other our children, the newcomer who has just come through our doors. It is honestly a gift beyond measure. The power of community is not only its ability to enfold each other in the struggles that we have just to live. It's not only in our seeking to lift up and rejoice in the wonder and beauty of the world. And the power isn't only that we do this without asking that we agree on a particular belief, a particular creed, a dogma, or a doctrine. The power is not only that we agree to join in this common search, coming together to discover not what we choose to believe, but what we find we must believe because of the truth we have found. Our power is not only in these, though these are all truly powerful. My life wasn't only saved. I was given life too, encouraged to ask the question that the poet asks, tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? If I had only been saved, it would have been enough. Dayenu, as the Jews would say. But there was something more, a challenge, an encouragement to be something more, to give something more, to do something more with my one wild and precious life. This, too, is the gift we can give to each other. It is what we share, and always a cause for celebration.
Our second reading is from Natural Resources by poet, essayist, and feminist Adrienne Rich. Rich recounts the work of women through the ages and then notes, this fraying blanket with its ancient stains we pull across the sick child's shoulder, or wrap around the senseless legs of the hero trained to kill. This weaving, ragged because incomplete, we turn our hands to, interrupted over and over, handed down unfinished, found in the drawer of an old dresser in the barn. Her vanished pride and care still urging us, urging on our work, to close the gap of the great nebula, to help the earth deliver. My heart is moved by all that I cannot save. So much has been destroyed, I have to cast my lot with those who, age after age, perversely, with no extraordinary power, reconstitute the world.
I just trust that you all share my belief that this is a life-giving and life-saving community. And I can't tell you the number of times that I've led a newcomers class and heard people say, I wish I'd known about this earlier in my life. I've been a Unitarian Universalist all my life without knowing it, right? How many of us, had that experience, right? How is it that we can share our community, this life, with the wider world and invite in those who need the embrace of our community, who might need our life-saving messages? Some years ago now, a colleague of mine told me a story about driving one day. He was, kind of tootling along on the road like you do, and there was a car behind him, single lane. There's a car behind him that was just eager to get past, just like right up on his bumper, just like right there, and itching to get past. And he was just not willing to accommodate this person. Like you are. He didn't pull over so that this woman could get past him. But when the road opened up, she sped around him, offering her favorite, I suspect her favorite sign language, the single finger variety, as she went past. And as it happened, they both wound up at a red light. And Red Hawk pulled up next to her and rolled his window down. It was back in the day when we rolled windows down, and leaned over with his card. And Red Hawk was a minister, and handed it to her and invited her to come to his church. And it's a novel way to do evangelism, but who knows? And she looked at it with a sneer, and she said, "I already have a church, thank you." And he said back to her, "I'm never this clever. Well, I hope it works better for you next week." Now, this is not necessarily the best way to share our community, but I have always admired Red Hawk's willingness to offer out to others the life-saving and life-giving community that he served. I suspect most of us feel more like Nancy Mears, an essayist who I appreciate. She says, "I feel no drive to proselytization. To be blunt, I have too much trouble bringing my own conversions and commitments day after day to undertake anybody else's, and I have no intention of trying to persuade others to adopt precepts and the ways of being with which I am still struggling myself." Amen? Yeah. I have spent most of my life feeling that way, not wanting to intrude on others, honoring to the point of silliness that the idea that every person needs to seek and find their own truth for themselves. A friend in Chicago, another person who grew up UU. Our mothers were friends. John was telling me about a colleague at work who had made a disparaging remark about a gay coworker, and specifically mentioning his sexual orientation. And John challenged him, and the colleague replied that his church taught him that homosexuality was a sin, and John didn't even, miss a beat at all. He says, "My church teaches me that people are worthy and precious. My church teaches me that love is primary in regarding our fellow human beings. Would you like me to bring you some information about it?" Truly, one way that we can build our community is simply to tell our friends about it. And to ask them to come, to offer them information if such an opportunity comes up. Nancy Mears, though she may claim no will to proselytize, has written several books about going to church and about her religious life and the journey and her conversions. She wasn't seeking to convert others, only to share with them what she had learned on the way. We can do that same kind of sharing with others around us. Let me suggest, however, that as critical, or perhaps more critical, to the invitations that we offer each other. Where did I go? More important is the work of maintaining and supporting a vital, creative, and loving community here. It means bringing your creativity to bear on the work of the congregation. Maybe not erecting that wall of committees, probably not a great idea, but serving on committees, welcoming newcomers on Sundays, working with children and youth, giving of your resources, being here on Sunday mornings to join your energy with the rest of that of the congregation. Building our community means working on attending to your own spiritual quest, learning how to live deeply and well with kindness and compassion, and allowing that to shine out in your everyday interactions. Building our community means the ongoing work for peace and justice and freedom, and seeking to create the world that we dream. What is it that we shall do? We have a wondrous and amazing gift here in this community that has the power to heal the world, if only person by person, if only a little bit at a time. It is in our hearts and minds to make it so. So may it be.
I invite you to rise in body and our spirit, and let's sing together our closing song. It's hymn number 108 out of the Gray Hymn Book. My life flows on in endless song. My life flows on in endless song, above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn, that hails a new creation. Through all the turmoil and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars, I know the truth it liveth. What though the darkness round me grows, songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost strong, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? The prison cell or dungeons vile, our thoughts to them are winging. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing?
You may be seated. Go ahead. Never sure about that. I have a New Year's blessing for you from my colleague Ann Tyndall. In this coming year, may you know more blessings than curses. May your hand reach out more than clench. May you be claimed more by love than indifference, more by hope than fear or cynicism. And may the creative power rise up in you, grounding you and guiding you to the border of what is yet possible for you, those close to you, and the world. So may it be. We extinguish our flame. We're going to do the Sufi chant, and so sing with me if you want. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and by this we live. So let us receive each other's gifts in love, give to each other with courage and caring, share together in peace, and thus weave together our dreams into a community of love and memory and hope. So may it be with us all. Amen and blessed be.